Okay. Wow, I'm out of breath. I'm out of breath because it's a race against time right now. I'm pretty sure it's like 3:30. The Yankees play at 4:08 and I'm over here rushing to try to get this video in because if this is the YouTube Sports Network, my goal here is to talk about things that are relevant in the sports world. So guys, bear with me. It's not quite Well, I shouldn't say. I was gonna say it's not quite the backdrop that I'm looking for, but then again, how beautiful is this? I'm just in a different location than I usually am when I make these videos. So, as of now, this is my backdrop. It's peaceful. Hopefully, you guys don't catch too much of the traffic that's going on well, you don't catch too much of the main road over here. But just bear with me. I'm pretty sure you can hear me pretty good. Anyway, welcome to the YouTube Sports Network. Before I begin, I just want to say this is a quote. I think they invented good weather by 1940. Rob Reiner, actor from All in the Family. This is All in the Family. It's a show that would be absolutely canceled in today's day and age. Absolutely canceled. But it's a quote, and it caught my eyes. And I think they invented good weather by 1940. Who's they? And is that true from what we know about certain weather manipulating machines? Anyway, I was just going to say also, I'm probably going to be haunted and bothered, not haunted, but bothered by the bugs, and I'm not a big fan of bugs, so I'm going to have to test my courage. My courage and my bravery is going to be tested right now because there's bugs all over this area, as you can tell. And my first instinct usually is to run. But I'm gonna hold my position and get this out. Anyway, guys, welcome to the YouTube Sports Network. I am your host, and today I'm going to talk about the Blue Jays and the Yankees. It is the first game of the ALDS. Now, this is the first time the Yankees and the Blue Jays have met in the postseason. First time. Okay? The Blue Jays have been around for 49 seasons, 49 years. 1977 was the Blue Jays' first year. 1977. If I'm not mistaken, 1977 was when the Yankees beat the Dodgers in the World Series, and I'm pretty sure Reggie Jackson hit 3 home runs in one game in that series, and he helped win the World Series, and he got donned Mr. October at the conclusion of that series, or at least, I don't know, I'm too old, too young to remember that. And in fact, I didn't even research it at the time. I just know that he had 3 home runs in that World Series. I hope I'm not wrong. In one game, and he helped the Yankees beat the Dodgers, and he got down Mr. October. And I've always been confused as to why Derek Jeter has been called Mr. Oh crap, I'm running low on battery too. Derek Jeter has been called Mr. November when he batted 141 in the World Series against the Diamondbacks, and they lost that World Series. Anyway, and I'm pretty sure it's on his plaque in Yankee Stadium. Very confused by that, but anyway, I gotta get to this because I'm rambling, and the battery's gonna die. So this is the first meeting the Yankees and Blue Jays ever met. The Blue Jays finished 94 and 68, first place. The Yankees also finished 94 and 68, but the Blue Jays held the tiebreaker over the Yankees. This is the Blue Jays' first place finish since 2015. They lost to the Royals in 2015 in ALCS in 6 games. The Royals went on to win the World Series that year. This is the 7th first place finish in franchise history. 7th. 49 years, so it's a big deal. And it's been quite a while since they had first place finish. Yankees is the 4th first place finish in the last 13 seasons. We think of Yankees, we think always running the table, right? First place, first place, first place. Not quite the Yankees of the past, but this is the second. Last 4 seasons they finished first place. Last year they finished first place. The last 13 seasons, though, 4 first place finishes. Not quite what you really remember. Aaron Boone's winning percentage as a Yankees manager is regular season is .584. He has 697 wins, 497 losses. I'm just throwing out facts. Stats are facts. Facts are stats. So first season, the Yankees were 5-8 versus Toronto this season. Here comes the planes. Here come the helicopters. 5-8 versus Toronto. They were 4-9 versus Boston. They were 2-4 versus Detroit. 3-3 versus Houston. 3-3 versus Cleveland. The point I'm making is, I remember always watching the games and then saying, as long as the Yankees beat up on the good teams and you play 500 ball against the good teams, you beat up on the bad teams and you play 500 ball against the good teams, you're going to have a good record. They've had a losing record against Toronto, losing record against Boston, divisional foes. Only 6 games, they lost. They won 2 against Detroit. They split with Houston and Cleveland, and they were 5-1 against the Mariners. So the Yankees kind of did that, but it's just the soap opera of the Yankees. Like I said, one of the last videos. I'm just throwing out facts here. They're not really quite beating these guys. This is the pitching matchup. Luis Gil, Kevin Gausman. That's today. Max Fried pitches game 2. Rodon pitches game 3. Cam Schittler. Excuse me, I don't even know. Cam Schittler. They said it's hard to say because, the elephant in the room, or like the inside joke is, they're saying shit on TV. They even said there was somebody holding a sign up, let's finish this shit. I didn't say shit, I said shit. Anyway. And the Blue Jays are going to be starting a 21-year-old rookie in Game 2, Trey Yesavage. Ironically enough, the Yankees call themselves La Savages throughout the season. So we'll see how the Savages do versus Yesavage on Game 2. Kevin Gausman has 39 career starts versus the Yankees. That's the most against any team that he's pitched against. The most starts against any team that he's ever pitched against. He has 196.1 innings pitched with a 3.67 ERA. If you look at his stats in his career against the Yankees over the last few seasons, a couple good seasons, a bad season, a couple good seasons, bad seasons, it's nothing really consistent. It's a consistent ERA, but there's like a 9 ERA one season against him. I think like a 1-point-something ERA against him. Basically, it's huge fluctuations. So with those huge fluctuations, or outliers, or not outliers, but different ranges, high ranges, low ranges, he wound up to a 3.67 ERA. But this season, in his last 2 starts against the Yankees, he's 2-0. He has 15 innings pitched, 8 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, and 13 strikeouts. So a very low whip. He's pretty much dominated the Yankees in the last 2 starts, and he's got the Game 1 start in Toronto for going on in about 30 minutes. So that's something that stood out to me. Kevin Gausman, his very experienced pitcher. He's been a good pitcher. He's dropped the glasses. He used to always wear the glasses with Baltimore. I don't remember if he took him to San Francisco with him, but then he wound up and he dropped the glasses. Regardless, there's just a little detail that I can't help myself. My brain just goes there. So I'm thinking about it, right? I'm looking at the stats. What are the stats? What are the stats? I gave you what the head-to-head record was. And here's the stats. Starters ERA. The Yankees' strength is the starters. The Blue Jays' strength is their bullpen. The starters ERA for the Yankees is 4th overall in baseball, 3.61. The Blue Jays are 20th, 4.34. Not terrible. If you have a starter who has a 4.34 ERA, but he gets 30-something starts in, and he pitches, and he gets a lot of innings in, and he gets to pitch deep into games, at least it gives your offense a chance to hang in there and score. But I don't remember the innings pitched. I know the Yankees have more innings pitched than Toronto, because in fact, Toronto's bullpen is the strength of their team. We'll get into that. The starters ERA, the Yankees are 4th, Blue Jays are 20th. Bullpen ERA, the Blue Jays are 16th overall. The Yankees are 23rd overall. If you follow the Yankees, you know that some of those ERAs have been pretty high for the Yankees. Devin Williams, even Bednar had his moments. Luke Weaver's been pretty consistent, right? I think. What I'm saying is, it's just been a kind of revolving door. They've been trying to stabilize that bullpen. The Yankees, but at the end of the day, usually always have a good bullpen. This year, it's been a little iffy, considering these numbers here. But the Yankees, as far as starters are concerned, they're first in the league. They're tied for first with 66 wins. And Blue Jays have 50 wins on the season. So this might seem like I'm going all over the place, but Yankees, their strength is starters, 66 wins. Their bullpen's solid. Their ERA is solid, 4th overall, tied for first in wins. The bullpen's 23rd overall. Blue Jays, they're number 1 in bullpen wins with 44. The Yankees have 28. In fact, the Yankees are only one of 9 teams with a losing record from their bullpen this season. Out of those 9 teams, 2 of those teams have made the playoffs, the Cubs and the Yankees. Is it because these 2 teams, Cubs and the Yankees, have pretty good or have good offenses who can really score a lot of runs? Probably so, but that's the gist of it. That's the gist of it. So 2 of the 9, the Yankees are the only. The Yankees and Cubs are the 2 of the 9 teams with losing records, but have made the playoffs from their bullpen. Take that how you want, but those are weird stats. So the strength is a Blue Jays bullpen. The strength is the Yankees starters. Okay, that is what it is. I mentioned Gaussman. I mentioned his last 2 starts, right? Now I'm going to go to the batting. I mentioned this last time. The strength of the Blue Jays is their batting average, right? Their batting average, and they don't strike out much. They are first overall in baseball with a .265 batting average. They are third in baseball in doubles. They're tied for 7th in slugging. Hitting doubles definitely increases your slugging percentage. They don't hit a ton of home runs, but doubles and hits. Singles, believe it or not, when you have a lot of singles, that still counts towards your slugging. So you add in a lot of doubles like the Blue Jays have been hitting, and you have a pretty good slugging percentage, especially with that batting average, right? And with all that, not so much power numbers, the Blue Jays are 4th overall in baseball runs scored compared to the Yankees, who are 1st. We know the Yankees generate their runs through homers. Blue Jays not quite. They generate their runs through not striking out much and putting the ball in play and getting hits. You see, striking out, on that note, the Yankees are 30th in baseball in strikeouts. The Blue Jays are 2nd in strikeouts, okay? So kind of 2 different ways of getting runs on the board. Blue Jays manufacture runs, small ball, getting hits, doubles, don't strike out. Yankees strike out a ton, hit a ton of home runs, and, don't get a ton of hits, but it's basically home runs and or nothing. And going back to that stat with the runners in scoring position, like I said, the Blue Jays are 1st in baseball. So not only they're 1st in batting average, they take that into situations where there's pressure. So they're 1st in runners in scoring position with 292. And I mentioned in the last video, one of the last videos, the Yankees are tied for 12th, 255. Not terrible, like I said, but still outside the top 10. So without those home runs, the Yankees aren't too hot. And they strike out a ton. And I've mentioned it not too long ago about the strikeouts in these situations where the Yankees are 1st, or where the Yankees have struck out the 2nd most times with runners in scoring position, while the Blue Jays have struck out the 2nd fewest times. 2nd most times in runners in scoring position, 2nd fewest times at runners in scoring position. Blue Jays have struck out the 2nd fewest times at runners in scoring position. The Yankees have struck out the 2nd most times. So we're on 2 different spectrums here. Now, if you consider that the Blue Jays bullpen is their strength, and they have the most wins from their bullpen, which doesn't necessarily mean they have the best bullpen. I'll get to that in a second. But, they're in the middle of the pack as far as ERA. But it obviously is one of their strengths. But I think this stat would actually tell a lot. And this is what I'm thinking, because I was looking at it. Oh, and before I move on to what I'm thinking, if you want to know who's been hitting for the Blue Jays as far as runners in scoring position, Vladimir Guerrero is hitting 307 runners in scoring position. Springer's hitting 330. Alejandro Kirk, the DH catcher/DH here and there, he's batting 315. And Addison Barger is batting 295, their 3rd baseman. That's 4. Bo Bichette, who is not playing, which this should be a headline, major headline. Bo Bichette is not playing in this series. Major loss. This might really hurt the Blue Jays, honestly. Might hurt the Blue Jays. He batted .381 with runners in scoring position. He had 8 homers, 80 RBIs. Of his 94, 80 came with runners in scoring position. You might think, all right, well, 94, usually these RBI guys, they hit him with runners in scoring position, right? Not quite. Aaron Judge, who had 120-something RBIs? He had 57 RBIs of his 100-plus RBIs with runners in scoring position. So Aaron Judge has 8 homers, 57 RBIs. He batted 340, 642 slugging. This is all runners in scoring position. Bo Bichette batted 381, so 41 points higher than Judge. 80 RBIs, so 23 more RBIs than Judge. But he had 94 on the season. So a large percentage of his RBIs came with runners on. Well, in positions with runners in scoring position. And he slugged 626. So just 16 points less than Judge. So what I'm saying is, this is their Aaron Judge. This is the guy that drives in all the runs and makes a lot of stuff happen when guys are on. And then Blue Jays are missing him, Bo Bichette. So that's a huge loss. He has more RBIs and runners in scoring position than Judge. He has just as many home runs as Judge does in these positions, in this spot with 8. And he's slugging just 16 points below Judge. So this is a huge loss. He leads the Blue Jays in average in these positions, in this spot with runners on. So this can't be understated. This can't be more understated, overstated. What I'm trying to say is, it's a huge deal. Bichette's not playing, because you can see what Judge means to the offense of the Yankees. So now you're taking out basically the best hitter on the Blue Jays. So that's a huge loss. So I'm just going through the numbers. Right? So what I'm thinking is, now I went back to this, because one of the videos, now by the way, I'm all over the place because I'm really racing against time. The battery's going to die soon. The Yankees are starting soon. And I just want to get this in because I want somebody to at least watch it before, during, and definitely after. This to me is one of a big stat. I figured, what part of the game can I really look at? Yes, runners in scoring position, but what are the stats late in the game? Because as I said, the Blue Jays have high average. They hit with runners on. They don't strike out much. Mind you, this is a big formula. This is a major formula for teams that win championships. I'm just saying. Obviously, you can slug your way. Playoffs, it's tough to slug in the playoffs. Maybe here and there you'll see it. So teams that really have their identity of putting the ball in play, not striking out, that's something that you can carry on with you. The big homers are tough to have a lot of the time, especially in crucial spots. And one of the videos I showed about how the Yankees don't hit much other than Judge and Bellinger with runners on. Volpe 196, Jazz Chisholm 208. Who were the other ones I gave the other day? Who was the other ones? Grisham 208. Austin Wells 250, believe it or not. I think Ben Rice is 238. So not quite what you see here. 307, 330, 315, 295. These are the main RBI guys, especially 3 and 4 with Kirk and Barger, or 4 and 5. They're top 5. Top 5 guys driving runs. Yankees top 4 RBI guys. 2 of them are batting 200. So it's really on one guy. On 2 guys really, Bellinger and Judge, that get it done. But let me get to this point. Innings 7 through 9. This is a big stat. Between innings 7 through 9, the Blue Jays bat 275. The Yankees bat 239. The Blue Jays slug 443. The Yankees slug 422. On base percentage, the Blue Jays have a 347. The Yankees have a 321. Now, they might not seem like major discrepancies or differences in those numbers, but the batting average sure does. And it goes along with a team that hits more for average and a team that doesn't. Of course, the big sluggers, a team that slugs, especially when the going gets tough, they're not always going to slug late in the game. You'll get that dramatic home run, but how often does that happen? Juan Soto, who does and who did and who's not there no more, right? Judge doesn't have a lot of playoff moments, right, as far as home runs are concerned and huge hits. Bellinger has won an MVP, World Series MVP, if I'm not mistaken. No, he wasn't. Or was he? Was he the first World Series MVP? I know Corey Seager was for the Dodgers. Anyway, what I'm saying is, late in the game, the Blue Jays still hit. They hit 17 points below their batting average. No, excuse me. They hit 10 points better than their batting average, because they're 265 on the season and they're 275 between innings 7 and 9. The Yankees are 239 between innings 7 and 9. And with the Blue Jays having, I would say, a good bullpen, but still, as you can see with the ERA, middle of the pack, 3.98, and the Yankees 4.37. I think what I'm getting at is that, is this going to be, where is the late game drama going to be? Are the Yankees going to be able to hit late in the game? Although the Blue Jays, they have a kind of a, I wouldn't say mediocre, but a average bullpen. But that, believe it or not, this has been a big deal for the Blue Jays as to why they've had success this season. Because for the Blue Jays for a while have not had a very good bullpen, it seems. They've had some high ERAs. They've been trying to figure out that part of the game for a few years, it seems. And it seems like this year they've stabilized it a bit. A few guys like Yariel Rodriguez, who was a starter, moved on to the bullpens, had a really good season there. Then you got a guy named Brandon Little, who I think had 79 games this season. So he's pitched in 79 games. He led the league. Jeff Hoffman was a big free agent signing from a converted starter from the Rockies, went to the Phillies, became a bullpen guy with the Rockies, I think, moved to the Phillies. I forget where he became the bullpen guy, but he was a starter, became a bullpen guy, pitched well, and got a nice contract with the Blue Jays. He had about 30-something saves, 33 saves or something like that, but his ERA wasn't that great. I think it was like 4.34. So that's the thing with the Blue Jays. They've gotten better at I think the Blue Jays bullpen is kind of like the Yankees offense. They're really good in some spurts, and then they're not so good. The Yankees are really good in some spurts, and then they're not so good as far as the power. The Yankees hitting and how they score runs. Sometimes they score a lot, sometimes they don't hit. They go through cold spells. Blue Jays, they're pretty good. They'll go through nice stretches of doing well, and then maybe they're not so hot. All right, so this series is kind of what I'm trying to get at. It's kind of hard to judge. There's a lot going on. There isn't a stat that quite stands out other than, if I can pull one, is what I've been trying to hammer home here, is that the Blue Jays hit. They hit for average. And teams that hit for average and don't strike out are kind of hard to put away, which is why I think the Blue Jays surprised a lot of people, including myself, this season. Because Addison Barger, Nathan Lukes, these are guys that you've kind of seen sprinkled in over the last couple seasons. They graduated from the minors, they got some action over the last couple seasons, and now they played a good amount this year and played well. Bo Bichette and Vladdy, even though they didn't slug in the 500s, where you would at least think Vladdy, I mentioned this last time, they still batted 292, 311, something about that, respectively, or 292 for Vladdy, like 311 for Bichette. So good average hitters, slugging around 450s, right? Driving in runs. Alejandro Kirk is a two-time All-Star. I know he made the All-Star team this year, right? He's hitting for average. He's hitting 16 homers, driving in 70-something. I mean, they got role players that are doing their job, hitting in crucial spots. This is a tough team. Now, if the Yankees get out early and start slugging and knock out the starters and give the starters a hard time, because the Blue Jays starters ERA is 4.34. You follow that up with a bullpen ERA, which, even though I'm praising the Blue Jays, at least giving them some props because they got better in that department, in the bullpen department, they're still running out of bullpen that's around 16. So the Yankees could control this if they start slugging. If they start slugging and they slug early, I can see the Yankees putting a good amount of runs on the board in this series. I sure as hell can. Now, if the Yankees don't really hit and the Blue Jays just keep chugging along and hitting like they usually do, with the Yankees, have you seen, they haven't been kind of lights out, but the starters is going to be the key. So it's for the Yankees. So if the Yankees, I'm saying a lot, but I'm going to give the edge to the Yankees in this series because, namely, Bo Bichette is not playing, and that's a huge miss. Huge miss. Yes, and he's contributed a lot to those numbers for the Blue Jays offense. But again, it is a full team, it seems like, for the Yankees, for the Blue Jays. And they have a guy named Ernie Clement, who is my favorite baseball name. Is my favorite name in baseball. Ernie Clement. He's versatile. He plays all over the field. He's a consistent baseball player. At least he found a nice home with Toronto. I mean, they got a lot of guys on that lineup that are just going to put the ball in play and do well. Bichette is a huge loss. again, I can see the Yankees at least taking advantage of the Blue Jays starters possibly, because the Blue Jays are gonna have to pitch well. Because I feel like the Yankees are gonna not have too much of a hard time hitting, but anything goes. But I'm not making predictions here. My point is not to make predictions at this moment. My point is to give you the numbers, and you could take them how you were. They are kind of here and there, and maybe you'll see them all over the place. But these are the numbers as they are. Again, just think of it. Batting average, the Blue Jays hit better late. They slug a little bit better late. They get on base better late. They don't strike out. They put the ball in play. The Yankees, they strike out a ton. They don't hit so well with runners in scoring position unless it's Judge and Bellinger. What gives? What gives? Right? So follow me. Do you follow me? Follow me. That bug's about to follow me. So that's the preview of this Yankees series. If you could take what I said and decipher the message and hear what I'm saying, then take it for what it was. Take it for what it is. But enjoy the game. This is the YouTube Sports Network. My network right now is a traveling studio. Eventually, we're gonna get to a nice place where I can have a backdrop and a more consistent setting and all that. But until then, enjoy the game.